into a really fascinating struggle, this, isn't it?
Yeah, sort of both sides had a good feel in it, and you know, I thought our lads were getting on top there, but we've made a few errors like that one there, and they sort of let them back into the game.
Mark Preston certainly takes some stopping when he gets going like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, once he gets in full flight, you know, I sort of wouldn't envy any fullback's job having to tackle him, but you know, he scored a good try there, and Steve Prescott made the best attempt he could to stop him.
As you say, you were probably getting on top at that stage. That's brought them right back in now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. You know, the thing about Halifax is, you know, you can be on top of them, but they've got players like Michael Hagan and them out there that dictate the game really well. And, you know, with guys like Mark Preston running about, you know, they're always in with a shout.
John Bentley has had the wind taken out of his sails with this tackle here. Riley and Griffiths, I think he may be... Well, it may be more than just his wind out of his sails. He's a lucky boy if he's got away with that.
I think it falls onto the ball, actually. There you can see ball into the midriff. Can be very painful.
He's a bit groggy, but Halifax will continue this movement with Lord. Gary Lord, he's a great favourite in his career with Malcolm Reilly, his coach. Hagan, Devorty, Robinson. That's a good ball from Robinson, bringing the second rower Jackson into it. Michael Jackson will certainly be looking for a big game today against these two second rowers of St Helens.
Just didn't get it right then, Halifax, moving the ball out wide. They were looking for an inside runner. There was only Jackson on the outside.
Hagan just drops one over the top, and Prescott lets the ball run dead. Quick tap on their own 20-metre mark by St Helens. This is Anthony Sullivan on one knee, thought about releasing the pass, decided against it. And that's why the St Helens supporters have been getting at the referee. They believe that Halifax line has been moving up all the time, and you can hear the applause for this decision in the background.
Well, you can see the prop forward, Gary Lord, never made any attempt to come back to the referee. Quite a few on the referee, David Campbell's left-hand side also. Gee, they love the Meadow whistleblowers here, don't they?
14, Mark Perrott has come on for Halifax, and he has replaced the Australian David Boyd. But I tell you what, Steve, when David Campbell blew the whistle for that penalty, well, they'd have heard the cheer in Wigan. They'd have thought that Saints had scored the try.
Yeah, there's not many Christmas cards got a St Helens post on it, going to the referees.
That's a great ball out to Sullivan. And is he in? No, referee says play on. He's just held up, just short of the line. Desperate moments these for Halifax. Man.
Oh, what a beautiful pass from the loose forward, Chris Joynt. Going to the ground, ball out wide to Sullivan. It deserved a try. It was super stuff.
Cooper dabs the ball forward. That was well read by Preston, but he's in trouble. He's behind his own try line. That'll be a drop out underneath the Halifax post.
Good play there by the winger, but really that was a super kick from Shane Cooper. It's all about putting the opposition under pressure, and that's what that man did.
Perrott on for David Boyd, involved in the action straight away. Not much length on that drop out, and it finds touch over on the far side from John Bentley.
Wouldn't be too happy with that. Looks a bit confused himself. There you can see he wanted it a little bit deeper. Scrum will form just outside the Halifax quarter.
So it gives St Helens the chance to examine this Halifax defence once again. They got possession from the scrum. Here's Joynt. Halifax working overtime to bring him down. Bernard Dwyer at dummy half. Ball back inside to Neil, and it was a good job he was missed by Fieldhouse, but here's Dwyer again! Two for Dwyer! Both of them quick thinking from the dummy half position. He's been injured, touching down, but he has restored St Helens' lead.
There's no point basking in the glory. There you can see they didn't have a second marker. He knew that, and Bernard Dwyer took full advantage. The Halifax defence was all at sea, and the man has done it again. Look at the big run. This is the play up to it. The big prop forward, Neil. And once again, the combination, Neil playing the ball and Dwyer taking the 4. Halifax defence shot to pieces. Look, 2 on the ground, too slow, only 1 marker there. You can't afford that when Bernard Dwyer is sniffing around.
Bernard Dwyer with 2 tries. I wonder if this match is coming just about 5 weeks too late for Dwyer, because he missed out on the Test match purely and simply, I understand, because he was outplayed in the match against Sheffield Eagles here by Lee Jackson. Malcolm really picked up the reports, and although he concedes that Dwyer was very, very unlucky, he made his choice on the man he thought was in form. Change of kicker for St Helens. Prescott takes over from Laughlin, and Prescott adds the 2.
Only 1 marker. Look at the gap. Come and take it, Bernard. I'll go the 4, and that's what he does. There'll be plenty to be said by Malcolm Reilly to the Halifax defenders.
2 tries. Bernard Dwyer having a great night. Steve Lay restarts. His team trailing 10-6. 6 minutes now to the half-time break. Nickel on the run. Good tackling. Great tackle from Lawless. We've talked a lot about Steve Prescott, but my word, Lawless has caught the eye too for Halifax.
He's worked very well. He runs well from the dummy half position, and I'm sure we'll see more of that in the second half, because Malcolm Reilly will realise that St Helens have got this defence very quick. They're moving up inside. They're making Halifax play down the middle, one-out football far too often.
Man gets the ball away to Mike Riley. Incredible run Riley's having in the first team. He only started 9 last season. He's been ever present so far. Vivas again with the kick. Hangs, but Steve Lay watched it all the way, and Steve Lay then slipped. Henry Sharp. 5 to go, half-time. 10-6. The ball went backwards, says the referee. John Lawless breathes a big sigh of relief. Hagan was looking for someone in support then. Lawless again. Now Robinson.
That's Halifax's big problem at the moment. They've only got really 1 runner that's coming out wide, and that's Michael Jackson. But oh, isn't this kid taking the eye? Confidence personified.
Steve-O, we have seen so many good youngsters come through this season already. Isn't the academy working?
Sure is. And you'll be able to see more academy in the new year.
We start our academy coverage in March. That's the under-18s, and it's the Academy Cup leading right the way through to Premiership Finals Day at Old Trafford. Cooper showed it to Vivas, decided against it, took the tackle from Devorti. Referee saw a swinging arm. I think it's penalty St Helens. It is.
Here it comes.
Michael Jackson, the culprit.
Yeah, just a little one. And really, that's undisciplined. We keep mentioning it, and I'm sure they coached us also. But far too often, Halifax have been their own worst enemy. Giving away silly penalties. Really does stop the momentum. A successful side has to play out the 6 and make sure they play territory, get the ball downfield, and not give away penalties like this.
Prescott has taken over the kicking from Paul Laughlin. He's on 1 from 1. He's bang in front, but he is 30 metres from the post. He kicks a sweet penalty. Steve Prescott stretches the St Helens lead to 6 points, 12-6. Malcolm Reilly on the front row of the director's box at Knowsley Road, watching with a frown on his face. No wonder. Lachlan collects the kick-off. That left arm heavily strapped, of course. He's broken it a couple of times. Doesn't want to do it again. Nicol. Jackson round his waist. Gary Lord round his ankles. Fieldhouse in there for good measure. Here's George Mann. Breaking the tackles again. What a season this fella's having.
Tremendous play, but you've got to give credit to the St Helens team and their coach Mike McLennan. They love to work the forwards on the blind side, and it works so often for them, especially with George Mann in this kind of mood.
John Neal says get out the way to Bentley and feeds Cooper. That's the last tackle, but was that a flop from Lawless? Referee says no, play on. Vivas dabs it forward. Preston reads it, picks up, but Vivas has followed up. Great stuff from Vivas. Into the last minute of this first half. Mark Perrott trying to work the ball up the other end of the field. Just a try and a goal in it, of course. 6 points. 12-6 St Helens lead. Devorty. Halifax trying to use the quick play of the ball. Lawless, that's a good run, a good pass too. The ball is kept alive. This is Robinson. Last tackle. Good stuff from Riley. Hagan is there. Halifax running it on the last tackle. That's to nobody in particular, though. The ball is kept alive well, but Griffiths was there. The referee says that when Preston picked that up, it was illegal. Knock-on is the decision.
Yeah, the knock-on is given there. Fullback Steve Lay trying to keep the ball alive, so that'll be the handover.
This is John Neal. Stoppage time now, first half. Gets the ball away brilliantly, Neal, to Dwyer. Cooper.
Well, there was no support there. Cooper was looking for the man to come onto it.
Griffiths was getting treatment in back play. He's now joined the line, but the ball is over on the other side of the field, and it's back with Halifax. Steve Lay now the full-back.
Well, with the scoreline at 12-6 in St Helens' favour, Halifax will be quite happy perhaps, because they really have only entered into the St Helens quarter on 2 occasions. One was when they scored, of course. So all the position and all the possession that St Helens have had in this first half, really, they'll be quite happy with Halifax trying to turn things around in the half-time break.
Robinson. Schuster gets away from Lachlan. Oh, it wasn't a good pass. Luckily, Robinson was there to pick up the pieces. I think the movement going.
I think he was knocked down, actually, trying to get the ball away. So that really should be back to 6.
Referee has said it's the last tackle. Here's Bentley. Gets the ball to Jackson. He releases it to Fieldhouse. Now with Hagan, and now with Perrott. And that was good play from Lawless. He's found Schuster. This is wonderful stuff. This is Sharp. Henry Sharp. And so close. That was inventive stuff from Halifax, right on the half-time siren and on the last tackle. The half-time siren comes. St Helens 12, Halifax 6. Sonny Nicol, tremendous first half. We've seen both sides of his character, though. The high swinging arm, but some wonderful runs at times from the big second rower. And hasn't Steve Prescott caught the eye? And Bernard Dwyer.
Big
St Helens 12, Halifax 6. Bernard Dwyer with 2 tries. Prescott with 2 goals. Mark Preston with a super try for Halifax, and John Schuster with the conversion. 12-6 it is. Statistics from the first half. Team tackling, level pegging, despite that possession statistic that favours St Helens at the bottom. Scrums, Saints 4-1. Penalties, Saints have had 3, Halifax 1. And just 8 handling errors in the match, shared out absolutely equally. It's going to be Halifax who will get this second half underway, and is Bernard Dwyer on the threshold of his first ever hat-trick. He's got 2. Can he get 3? No doubt Malcolm Reilly will have told his players to watch for Dwyer at the play the ball if it's near their own line. St Helens in possession. Graham Hallis missing from the Halifax lineup tonight. Talking now with Bill Arthur.
Graham, what was the talk in the Halifax dressing room at half-time?
We've got to improve this defence out wide. We've got to start moving the ball out wide, and we've certainly got to improve on our kicking game.
But was Malcolm generally pleased or displeased with what he'd seen in the first 40?
He was pleased with aspects of the game, displeased with others, especially those 3 things that I've mentioned.
But at 12-6, you're still in it, really, aren't you?
We certainly are still in it, and if we can improve as we want to, then there's no reason why we can't take this ball game.
And do you think right at the end of that first half there was that run by Henry Sharp? Is that an indication of what you've got to do in this second?
Well, by that run from Henry Sharp culminated in the ball being moved wider, and as you can see from that, we've brought the Saints defence down.
Okay. Yes, there was certainly encouraging signs for Halifax in that first half, and Graham Hallis out of this match with back trouble, and as he has indicated there, they're certainly not throwing the towel in yet, not by any stretch of the imagination. Robinson the dummy half, and Michael Hagan just drifts one into the corner, picked up by Anthony Sullivan. Jonathan Griffiths, hauled back by the collar by Bentley. John Neal just had a look over his shoulder, didn't he? See if there was anyone coming up behind him. There was. It was Bentley. Andy Dannett.
Well, they're playing percentage football now, St Helens. They've got the 6-point lead. You can see 3 times there they've just used the forwards. Quite happy to work it out to the halfway line and get the long kick downfield.
Beavers kicks the ball towards the corner, but that's got too much behind it. Halifax will restart with a tap on their own 20-metre mark.
Not the best kick we've seen from Beavers, but that's the idea. That will have been the ploy from their coach, Mike McLennan. Let's play that percentage. Let's play nothing silly. You can't get the ball away, just die with it. Don't take the risk. It's Halifax that have to do the chasing.
Jonathan Griffiths is carrying a bit of an injury. He's hobbling out on that far side. As Jackson gets the ball away. There's Griffiths trying to run off a knock. Hagan gives it to Schuster. Schuster gets away from Mann. It's a bit high from Mann, but Gus O'Donnell warming up. And Lawless tried the chip and chase. Loughlin got to it, but the referee says he knocked on as he brought this ball in. Bit harsh.
Well, he made an attempt to try to grasp at it. If it had just turned the body and made no attempt, it would not have been a knock-on. The referee, David Campbell. Also good refereeing by Campbell. He made a little bit of a passing comment to the second rower, George Mann, for that high tackle.
Players coming off for both sides. Griffiths for O'Donnell. No one coming off for Halifax. Sorry about that. It was just Griffiths for O'Donnell. I saw the number 3 held up, and of course it's an unusual position for Jonathan Griffiths, isn't it, in the centre? But it's O'Donnell who's come on for Jonathan Griffiths. Halifax, meanwhile, are in possession with Devorty. Now it's with Hagan. He finds Preston. Weston dancing and skipping in front of that St Helens defence. O'Donnell, the drop goal expert in the big league. He has managed 8 one-pointers. Robinson, long pass out wide. It's a good ball to Devorty. Good tackling back by Sullivan. Bentley is there, the dummy half. Ball just clipped over the top. And Prescott said, that's mine.
Wonderful call by the youngster there. Beavers was in front, and a good shout by Prescott said, it's mine, and it was.
Loughlin running strongly. Five minutes, second half gone. As we were at half-time, 12-6. John Neal gets the ball away to Dwyer. He finds Cooper. Cooper releases the pass to O'Donnell. That's good tackling, though, by Robinson, and with a bit of help from the not inconsiderable weight of Fieldhouse. Riley.
Pretty good defence by Halifax. You can see they're using the sliding defence type, moving in, not allowing St Helens any chance to get it out wide.
Beavers kick, and underneath it is Henry Sharp. Steps inside Cooper. This is a good run from Sharp. He's got Beavers to beat, though. Beavers is formidable. Lawless. Again, Beavers the tackler.
He has impressed, hasn't he, the hooker John Lawless making his debut. Very clever from the dummy half.
That's a good ball. Back to Jackson. Jackson almost lost it, just held on to it round by his ears. Bentley releases Fieldhouse. Fieldhouse so close, it was a good job O'Donnell was there. Perrott to Robinson, to Hagan. Halifax, a lot more movement started this second half. Lovely ball inside to Robinson. Great try. Hagan destroyed the St Helens defence with that pass, and Robinson was the man in support.
Great play by Halifax, keeping the ball alive. John Fieldhouse took the ball out on the left. Hagan just throws the dummy. You can see how they just stand off him. No one went low. Mann and Dannett were at fault there, but good support play by Chris Robinson. But a super play by the Australian. Ball comes out wide. Now watch how Hagan slows the game down. Throws the dummy. The step there, they both go high. And they paid the price, but superb positioning there by the little halfback Chris Robinson. Come on, give me the accolades that I fully deserve. Lick that, he says.
Robinson, 2 in 2, and Hagan, the man who created that try here at Knowsley Road, right under the sticks. Should be easy then for John Schuster. Bang in front, the New Zealander. The match is all square. Little knot of Halifax supporters behind those posts, and they're celebrating that kick and that try. 12 all.
Super play by Hagan. He pulls 2 men to him, and when you go through, you've got to go low. They didn't, and this is the result. Beautiful position by the halfback. Look at the inside pass. Great play.
Henry Sharp with the run from the kick-off. Oh, mistake immediately. Gary Lord. No, it's Lawless. Young John Lawless. He'll want the floor to open up and swallow him.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? He was going to run on the blind side.
O'Donnell and Cooper working a little run around.
Interesting, Eddie, we haven't seen one of the crisscross moves from St Helens as yet. Maybe they're driving in to set up for it this time.
Dwyer, the dummy half. Nicol is the runner. Buzz of excitement goes round the ground when Nicol gets hold of it. He released the ball to Joint, and Joint juggled with it and just couldn't hold on. Chance goes.
Well, they're not playing percentage football, are they? There was never any chance of getting that ball away, and in a wonderful position they should have gone to ground.
So first blood, second half to Halifax. John Schuster's conversion. A great try from Chris Robinson. Lawless now from dummy half. only to make amends for that mistake a few moments ago. Robinson, try scorer, good step. Good ball, Fieldhouse, but was it forward? Everybody underneath our commentary position thought so, but there in red and white favours, the referee thought otherwise. Hagen again with the kick. That ball just hung in the air and bounced perfectly. It means St Helens must work the ball away from their own line. Sullivan with the handoff goes round Bentley, and then Preston comes in for the kill. That was a mile forward, Steve-O.
Half a mile anyway.
Ten minutes of this second half gone then, and it's all square at 12 points apiece. Such an important match for these two sides. Loughlin picked that ball up brilliantly, fed Riley. Riley cuts in field, can't get away from Schuster or Henry Sharp or Gary Devorty.
That all came about by a quick play the ball.
Nicol is the runner for Saints. That looked high. Nicol's head went back. Referee took a look, said that was the last tackle, play on. O'Donnell, drop goal specialist, just misses. He'll have a crack from anywhere, won't he?
Good thinking by the substitute O'Donnell. Way offline though, I'm afraid. Tried to hook it back through. That just shows you the importance when so early in the second half they're quite happy to take that 1 point. Really has been a good performance by Halifax after the restart. Words of wisdom from their coach Malcolm Reilly, no doubt.
Schuster limping, he's just had a word with the Halifax trainer. And here's Michael Jackson. I thought a moment ago that Jackson was struggling. He was obviously catching his second wind, because that wasn't a bad little run from him. Hagen just clips one over the top. Cooper watched it and read it perfectly.
Great positioning there from the St Helens skipper Cooper, playing in a defensive role, the sweeper. Knew the kick was on, but I've been very impressed in the second half the way that Halifax are using the combination of Hagen and Robinson and getting the link working. They realise that there's more glory to be gained out wide.
St Helens driving it down the middle at the moment with Neil. Suddenly there's a touch of frustration on the terraces here at Knowsday Road. Joint to Man, that's a better ball to Loughlin. He has to take the tackle though from Hagen. Man again. Toe pokes it forward. Henry Sharp is there. And Henry Sharp felt the full weight of George Mann. I think he might have used an elbow.
He uses the elbow. Sharp goes down. Elbow definitely went in there, and good touch judging. Notice the left elbow. Oh yes. Come on. We can do without that. Here it comes. I don't believe it. They've finally done it for foul play. Take a bow, Mr. Campbell. That we can do well without.
George Mann then in the sin bin for 10 minutes. If it had just flopped on Sharp, no one would have had any complaints. But the use of the elbow, and he's reduced his teammates to 12 men for the next 10 minutes.
Well, they just rattled down the St Helens, really, when they should have been coming out full of confidence, 6-point lead. They should have been taking control. They haven't. They've lost the plot somewhat, and Halifax, they are really firing.
The ball went backwards, said referee Campbell. Well, he won't be getting Christmas cards, as Steve-O said, from the St Helens area.
Well, he was reefed out by Joint, no doubt about it. He didn't drop it. It was pushed out.
Here's Preston again. Preston, the man with all the speed. Prescott to face him once more. Oh, wonderful try. Magnificent from Preston. Absolutely breathtaking.
Absolutely wonderful play. Bentley again. We talked about using the ball out wide. He used Steve Lay, the fullback, and once again, copybook, in and then out. experience against the youngster. And rightly so, Preston enjoys this. We talked about the link. Hagan, see how the long ball out wide. It pulls the man in off the wing. Anthony Sullivan expected Steve Lay to come at him. In and out, and then the step, and then the acceleration. Enjoy.
Mark Preston, tremendous try from him. Super try, Mark Preston. His 10th of the season. Halifax have the advantage. And we've been saying all the way through this evening that Halifax haven't won here for 30 years. But my word, their coach, Malcolm Reilly, he has tasted plenty of success here at Nosey Road during his career with Castleford. John Schuster then with this conversion attempt. Halifax 4 points to the good at this stage, 16-12. Difficult conversion attempt coming up from Schuster. Important kick this. Just misses. St Helens 12, Halifax 16.
See how the winger St Helens, Sullivan, comes in. He thinks Lay's going to get it. The long ball's out wide, and away he goes. Super stuff. Look at that. Great pass.
And another kick-off goes directly into touch, 2 bounces. Second time we've seen that tonight.
Quite happy to let it go there. The Australian Mike Hagan knows that it's the head and feet for Halifax. Well, what a turnaround in the second half. The St Helens in the driving seat. Now it's turned around.
And Halifax really do have their tails up, don't they? And Mark Preston, with his 2 tries, he's cancelled out the 2 from Bernard Dwyer. And here's John Fieldhouse. Get the feeling that St Helens need to readjust. Of course, they're down to 12 men with George Mann in the sin bin. And Halifax exploited the little bit of space that is available to them, but Preston, he dropped that. Devorty dropped that. Touchdown saw it on the far side. David Campbell, 10 metres away, didn't.
Well, perhaps Campbell was looking to see that the Halifax defence was getting back. Should I say St Helens defence. Good touch judge there.
Sullivan had nowhere to go then when he received that pass from O'Donnell. And the 2 players in front of him. Cooper to Nicol.
I just get the impression that perhaps St Helens thought all they had to do was go through the motion. But really, they've got to start working hard now. Vivas and Cooper have got to start combining and get this road back on show back on the road.
O'Donnell to Prescott. Can't get away from Schuster. Dwyer, the dummy half. Again he goes on his own. Again he makes ground. Again he draws applause from this St Helens crowd. Laughlin to Cooper. Dannett it was on the run. Dwyer again. Cooper. Cooper thought about releasing the pass. Didn't do so. It was on the last tackle, so it's the turnover.
That's not the first time that St Helens has been caught looking for the runner. They just are not working.
Michael Jackson. And the big number 8, John Neal, made a play for that ball when Jackson was about to play for it. And it's a gentleman's excuse me. Robinson. Hagan, the dummy half. Here's Devorty. Ball back inside to Lord. With tackling Dwyer. Working hard. Bernard Dwyer. Now Perrott. Dannett with the tackle, finished off by Chris Joint. Lawless, Hagan. High kick. Tester for Prescott, the youngster. Drops it, gets it second attempt.
The knock on. No one interfered with him. In fact, the nearest man was the captain, Shane Cooper. Chris Robinson did the right thing, did not interfere. The pressure, it mounts.
Youngster just dropping it under pressure. Certainly it is a pressure game this now for St Helens. And this is Bentley. He gets the ball away to Hagan. If Preston would have picked that up, that would have been a hat-trick. But there's mistakes both sides. And referee Campbell says this comes off the foot.
Well, that was a try time, wasn't it? Hagan's pass wasn't the best, under the ground. Then it was Cooper that picked it up, and they made a real mess of that. The tension, it's the nerves. They know how important this is.
Neil was gritting his teeth then. Fieldhouse brought him down. Here's Dannett.
Oh, there's plenty going in.
Dwyer again. Straightens up. Takes St Helens to halfway. Prescott the dummy half. O'Donnell. Clip over the top from O'Donnell. Well read, Robinson.
He's had a super second half, hasn't he, Chris Robinson? There in the sweeping role. Picked out that kick from O'Donnell very well.
Here's Steve Lay, the fullback. Yes, there's some players catching the eye on both sides that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be the men featuring. He is one you most certainly would, Michael Hagan. Lawless has had a great game. Fieldhouse running strongly.
They're getting over the advantage line at Halifax. St Helens a little bit slow to move up now.
Hagan again, another tester for the young kid at fullback Prescott. He misses another. But Schuster, I think, was caught offside.
Interference there. Set off just before. No, on the replay it was onside, so it must have been foul play. Perhaps interfering there. Well, offside, said the referee. Penalty given.
George Mann has returned from the sin bin.
And what a costly sin bin that could well prove.
Yes, while it was off, Halifax scored the try that has given them the lead. And David Boyd has come on for Gary Lord. And there he is, involved straight away again in the tackling.
I mentioned earlier, Eddie, about the fact that St Helens, they have yet to put on a move, which is most unusual for them.
Lachlan gets the ball away to Joint. He finds Shane Cooper. Cooper releases the pass. Play on, says the referee. Joint picks up the pieces. Perrott has him. Nickel now. Hagan stood up to the challenge well. It's the last tackle for St Helens. It's with O'Donnell. Clips one into the corner. I don't think he's got the range quite right yet, has Gus O'Donnell.
A little bit too strong. Halifax quite happy. Fullback Steve Lay quite content to let it go there. Now it's there, and Halifax in the driving seat. And I think it's getting to that point now where St Helens realise that it's a panic situation. They've got to start changing a few things, and perhaps Shane Cooper to go into the loose forward position, and maybe Chris Joint to be running out wide a little bit more. He's played very central in the loose forward position tonight so far.
That possession statistic is a complete reversal of things in the first half. Here's Lawless. Suddenly Halifax have got a bit of a spring in their step, but that wasn't the best pass from Perrott. Schuster picked up the pieces, finds Hagan, gives it to Devorty. Devorty releases the pass. Lawless fancies a run, or just drops it under pressure. Both sides, Steve-O, trying to force the pace, aren't they? And these mistakes are coming.
Well, it was a shame there for the hooker. And it's a good job that Vivas was there. Maybe he interfered with the pass, just got the hand to it. He didn't touch the ball, he just pulled the hand away.
Here's George Mann, fresh and out of the sin bin. Tips the pass outside to Riley. Nothing Riley could do other than take Henry Sharp's tackle. Cooper to Dannett.
Yeah, they're relying far too often for George Mann to be running out on the blind side or out wide. And really, they've got to do something now. Push another forward, perhaps, as we mentioned.
Here's Mann. Now Riley. Good tackling by Henry Sharp. He's coming to the side tonight, Sharp. He's let nobody down. Dwyer. O'Donnell. The ball went backwards. O'Donnell will hoist one high. Vivas went for it. Lay went for it. Bentley picks it up. St Helens, Steve-O, always look attractive and look dangerous when they fling the ball out wide. Is it a question that they're using the wrong tactics, or are Halifax simply bottling them up tonight?
Well, the second half display from Halifax, both in attack and defence, has improved from the first stanza. That there's little doubt. But I just get the impression that St Helens, they're slacking off a little bit and expected something to happen. You've got to work for it. Halifax are doing just that. They're working hard.
Less than a quarter of an hour to go now in this match, and Halifax ahead by the 4 points. Schuster gets the ball to Sharp, and was there an obstruction there? Referee says no and allows Sharp to run on, and then says it's the last tackle.
Oh, I don't think it was an obstruction. Sharp was pretty well back from the man in front of him, probably about 10 metres. Pretty hard to get an obstruction from that.
The kick from Hagan just finds touch. This will eat up the clock. That's experience from the standoff half. You notice when Halifax were coming from behind, his kicks never found touch. Now they're finding touch.
Yes, when you're on the in front on the scoreboard, it's amazing how Lady Luck seems to just shine upon you.
St Helens in possession then with George Mann, but in their own quarter. Vivas gets the ball to Loughlin. A run coming in from Riley. He goes through Sharp. He couldn't get away though from the second man in, that was Hagan. St Helens want to play the ball quickly. Vivas to Mann. Now Joint and Cooper. O'Donnell. Suddenly the momentum goes, but then he cuts inside and just picks up pace. Cooper. Joint. Good run from Joint. This is better from St Helens. Crowd getting behind them now. Cooper again. They've loaded the left-hand side. Vivas, Loughlin, Riley. Just brought down 5 metres short.
What a great tackle from the fullback, Steve Lay.
Cooper again. Gives it a bit of air to Vivas. Vivas dabs the ball through. Lay gets it. Lay drops it. Ball goes free. Oh, it was a good job that the Halifax man was there. Mark Preston it was.
Oh, Lay made a real mess of this, didn't he? Look, it slips out behind him. Now, was that a knock-on forward there? I thought Lay got a hand to it. Wasn't to be either way. It's a drop out from underneath the post, but panic situation.
Panic, pressure, call it what you will. The referee has given St Helens a penalty here. Now then.
Well, the referee, David Campbell, obviously not bemused. Well, was Vivas taken out before? I don't know. I think he's given offside. Remember I said that perhaps he touched it, the fullback, and I reckon the ball went forward, and when Mark Preston touched the football, he obviously must have been deemed offside. The confusion reigned, with St Helens perhaps thinking about taking the tap right in front, but they opted to take the 2 instead.
Prescott straight between the uprights. There's certainly no complaints from the St Helens crowd about that decision. 16-14, the gap just 2 points. Any hint here, Steve-O, from the high angle behind the post?
Well, from the kick, I don't think he was taken out too late. That wasn't it, because there was no reaction. He said play on. Now look at this. I think he just touches it. No, he doesn't. It's off the foot. Offside. Came off the fullback, Steve Lay. Went forward. Referee correct.
Because Preston picked it up from an offside position. So as I say, no complaints from the St Helens fans about that, but my word, they've been complaining bitterly all night about this referee, David Campbell.
Doesn't matter what name he has. That was high. It's like Jackson threw the left arm, the right arm, should I say. There's plenty of football in this game to go.
Absolutely, we have 10 minutes left. 2 points the difference. Cooper works the ball to Riley. Riley pulled down by Mark Perrott. Last tackle for St Helens. They're on halfway with O'Donnell. And he finds Lay.
Oh, I wouldn't be happy with that, O'Donnell. Right down the throat of the fullback, Steve Lay. That should have gone right into the corner, applying no pressure whatsoever.
Well, let's have a quick word with Jonathan Griffiths, the St Helens man who's come off the field. He's the centre. I'm sure they're not giving it in. Bill Arthur's with him.
Jonathan, nail-biting finish to this one. Do you think you can snatch it?
Well, obviously, yeah, we just got to keep the pressure on them, and hopefully in the last 10 minutes we can clinch it.
But their defence has been pretty stubborn, hasn't it?
Yeah, we knew that with the coaching they've got there, that the defence can be very tough, and we just got to be patient and keep battling away.
George Mann forced the error, but was it a high tackle here on Jackson? No, it wasn't.
No, he used the shoulder. The impact pushed the ball away. That could be a costly mistake there. Halifax clinging on to this 2-point lead.
Joint gives it to Cooper. Cooper to O'Donnell. O'Donnell long to Vivers. Couldn't get away from Bentley. Hagan penalised for the flop on Vivers.
Well aware is the referee David Campbell now that time wasting is all to the fore, and that certainly was.
The penalty has taken St Helens about 15 metres closer to that Halifax line. Here's Bernard Dwyer.
What a game the hooker has had. Bernard Dwyer has worked hard like he does every game.
Cooper switches the direction of the attack, but well brought down by Boyd, finished off by Perrott. This now is Dannett. Dannett twists and turns, no one in support.
Surely they'll put on one of the moves.
O'Donnell gets it back to Joint. He keeps it going. Dwyer was a bit surprised to get that. He finds Cooper, his captain. Nickel. O'Donnell. Prescott, the full-back. Last tackle for St Helens in this set of 6. O'Donnell dabs the ball forward. O'Donnell. The ball goes free, and Halifax have it in the shape of David Boyd.
Nice casual kick there by O'Donnell. Beavers coming up on the blind side. There you see, there didn't quite get contact to it, but Beavers was onside. Good defence again from Halifax.
We promised you a thriller, and a thriller it is turning out to be. Less than 7 minutes to go. And look at that tackle count, reaching the 150 mark for both sides. 5th tackle for Halifax. They're only 20 metres from their own line. Hagan says, let's get out of here.
Tell you what, though, they're taking a big gamble. That's to play the balls where the foot didn't make contact with the ball. They really are testing themselves there. Referees often penalise them for that.
You get the feeling that the next score now will win it. St Helens in possession with Riley.
It really has been a great defensive display from Halifax this second half. They've moved in quickly. They've tried to snuff them out, and that's what they've done very well indeed.
Dwyer, the dummy half, gives it to Dannett. He helps it on to O'Donnell. He finds Chris Joint. And that's the 5th for St Helens. They're really getting through the tackles. Cooper chips it over the top. Hagan read it well. Thought about releasing the pass. Thought better of it. Now then, the referee has blown the whistle. And that's a signal I've never seen before.
Going for the head. Well, what on earth was that? Jackson looks bemused. So do I. Referee was patting his head or working his head or...
Well, I'm often bemused by signals and decisions.
All I can say is that Jackson did not make any attempt to go back onside in possession of the football. In other words, the rule states when you're a defender, you should be back, which was St Helens 10 metres. As you are an attacker in possession of the football, you must be back 5. The referee has penalised him for not making any attempt to get back on the 5. A rare rule and could be a costly one.
It could, because this is Prescott, and Prescott, cool as a cucumber, the young teenager, has levelled the scores up at 16-all. Well, stand by your beds. We're in for a big last 5.
Well, the crowd were quite happy to accept that penalty. I wonder what the crowd would have done if the penalty had gone the other way at the other end of the field. They would have gone mad.
4 minutes plus stoppage time then. Gary Lord has returned to the fray in place of John Fieldhouse. A one-pointer could win this, and St Helens have got Gus O'Donnell, the drop goal specialist. He's got 8 drop goals this season already, but having said that, the ball has got to be up the other end for them to have a chance for 1 point. But that bounced off a Halifax head. It's play on, and O'Donnell was tackled by Hagan round the chest.
And what a great tackle by Hagan. It had to be. O'Donnell was in the clear.
Sullivan. Are St Helens going to pluck a victory from the jaws of defeat? Cooper.
It's so important now that Halifax don't give away a penalty. Get back quickly.
St Helens will want to run this ball up the middle and get into a position for a Gus O'Donnell drop goal. Here it is. This time it slices off the boot and didn't even have a chance, and he knows.
The opportunity, the reaction and the agony says it all, doesn't it? As soon as it hit the boot, he knew it was not going to be a one-pointer. But Halifax have got a lot of work to do to get out and try to get into a position to take their chance for the 1 point. That's the only way I feel that this game is going to be split.
Lawless pulled down by Vivas. Here's Devorty, will try and run it up the middle for Halifax. 2 minutes of normal time plus anything the timekeepers add on. Schuster for Halifax dropped on halfway.
Surely they'll put pressure on the young fullback Steve Prescott again.
It's the last tackle, this. Hagan, it bounced off the back of Joint. Referee says it is still the last tackle. Halifax have decided to run it. Now they put boot to ball. Riley will collect it for Saints. The last hurrah for St Helens, perhaps. Dwyer. Lachlan. Oh, it's been rough and tough as this one. We expected it to be, and it could all come down to just the 1 point drop goal at the end of the day. 16-all. A draw is no good to either side. Ball has come free because that was a ferocious tackle on John Neal.
Jackson really put the shoulder into him there. Crunch. Jonathan Neal felt the full weight of that, the impact. Ball bouncing out. This really is the last chance for Halifax.
Steve Lay goes through O'Donnell, can't get away from Loughlin. Halifax now will try and work the ball up the other end of the field. Preston, the man who scored 2 tries. Henry Sharp. The last half minute of this match. Lawless. Stopped by Mann.
What a great debut from the hooker, John Lawless. He can feel very proud indeed.
Gary Lord with the drive. That's the last tackle. Now then, is there anyone on the Halifax side capable of a drop goal from this distance? Well, Hagan tried it. Didn't reach. Here's Prescott. Such confidence from the youngster, as he has shown from first to last whistle here. Vivas. 2 outstanding youngsters again we've seen on Sky tonight. Lawless, the hooker for Halifax, and Prescott, the fullback for Saints. Tremendous.
Quite right, Eddie. They've been the stars in my book, along with the hooker Bernard Dwyer from St Helens.
Well, it will now come down to 1 point, that's all, because we're in stoppage time. Dannett. It's the last tackle for St Helens. The ball is with John Neal. Neal releases it to O'Donnell. He can't drop a goal from there, but he's trying for the try. The Halifax man made a play for it, Robinson, and he got the ball back.
Very brave Robinson there. He put his body on the line, knew that Gus O'Donnell was in with a kick. Oh, that was great stuff. Super play. He's had a great second half, Chris Robinson.
We've had over a minute now of stoppage time. The scores are level at 16 points all. Neither of these sides really would have wanted a draw. How long will the timekeepers add?
1 point is better than nothing, though. It's been a super fight back from Halifax. Just before the half-time break, it looked as though St Helens were going to take control of this game.
Hagan's kick downfield, it hangs, Riley gets to it. Schuster's after him and gets him. There's the siren, it's all over. 1 point apiece. The spoils are shared. 16 all. Tremendous game. Great display second half from Halifax. St Helens had to dig deep and fight their way back into the match. And 16 points all, I suppose, just reward for all the effort from these two sides. Here at Nosey Road tonight, and it's ended all square, 16 points apiece. Bernard Dwyer with 2 tries, Steve Prescott with 4 goals. They're the 16 points for Saints. Halifax 16 came from 2 Mark Preston tries, the try from Robinson and 2 goals from Schuster. So Halifax 3 tries to 2, but after 12-6 down at half-time, a tremendous second-half display from Halifax, particularly in defence. Well, Bill Arthur is now with a couple of the try scorers, 1 from each side. Bernard Dwyer in a moment, but first of all, Mark Preston of Halifax. No, it's the other way round, I beg your pardon. It's Mark Preston in a moment, Bernard Dwyer of St Helens first.
Bernard, do you think draw's a fair result?
On the night it probably is, but St Helens dressing room will be very disappointed tonight. We set our target, drop no points before Christmas, and to drop a point at home is deadly. Like, all due respect to Halifax, who came out and they set their targets high and they went to earn the point. Good luck to them.
There was a stage early on, I think, when you went, was it 12-4 or something like that, 12-6 anyway, and you certainly looked as though you were about to step on the gas then, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, well, I think that's what went through the team, and you can't afford to start thinking like that. You've got to keep the pressure on right for the full 80 minutes. Halifax showed that tonight, and we was lucky to get a point, really.
Personally, though, you must be pleased. 2 tries.
Yeah, 2 tries, but still very disappointed. It's losing money over home. That's what matters to me.
So, I think that's the first time you scored 2 in a game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but full length pitch, as you can see again, 2 full lengthers, that'll do me.
As you say, Mark Preston got 2 50-yarders. Mark, you must be delighted with both of those.
Yeah, very pleased. The last couple of weeks,
I've not been getting on the score sheet last 3 games, so I needed that for my confidence, and I was really pleased to get over twice.
Could you believe your luck?
Not really, no. I thought we played well. In the first half we were under a hell of a lot of pressure. Obviously we went in 12-6 down, and we knew at the start of the second half we had to start well and score, and we did, and we got ahead 16-12, and obviously we gave away 2 silly penalties, and we're probably a little bit disappointed, as I suppose Saints are, just to get the draw.
But a point is probably of more value to you.
Oh yeah, I think so. You know, obviously there won't be many teams come here and win this season, and obviously I think Malcolm will probably be quite pleased with the 1 point.
Do these 2 tries against St Helens maybe lay the ghost of last season's error that most people, I'm sure people still remind you of, including ourselves?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't watch Boots Snow last time, but I believe it was on again. In the first try I probably should have gone nearer the post, but I was just that determined just to put the ball down without bouncing it, you know, just to get it out of the system, really. Cheers.
Reaction to that draw?
Well, we played some enterprising football. I believe we deserved the 2 points. Very disappointing with some of the decisions that were taking place in the latter period of the game.
In particular, that last penalty decision?
Yes, if it hadn't been that, it'd have been something else. It was, you know, the script were written, you know, and the guy certainly was going to make sure we were penalised. And I don't know when it's been allowed to stop the clock to bring sand on for a penalty, but that's what took place.
I think that final decision was not the man not standing square. I mean, do you accept that?
Well, in the course of 80 minutes of football, if you can only pick one of those up, then you know it's convenient that it should be such a crucial time of the game.
Do you think you were worth the win?
I think we battled. Both teams played very good football. It was a hard contested affair, and you know, to get so close and be deprived of it by a decision like that, well, leaves me a little bit gutted.
But given that you've had a pretty dreadful run here at Knowsley Road, at least getting a point must be some satisfaction.
It's absolutely no consolation at all. You know, I think we deserve more than that.